Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you from Lagos. A reminder of our major stories tonight. Abductors of students and staff of Turkish International School demand a ransom of 1.2 billion naira before they're released. The nation remembers its fallen heroes. President Muhammadu Buhari assures that their sacrifices will not be in vain. Federal government rejects conditions given by the Bring Back Our Girls group for joining a day's search for the missing Chibok girls in Sambisa Forest. And France hosts an international conference aimed at kick-starting peace talks between Israel and Palestine. For more on our top stories and others, please visit our websites channelstv.com and youtube.com/channelsweb. You can also watch us on the go on your mobile device. Log on to m.channelstv.com or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. Having the Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You also have the eyewitness feature, so you too can be part of the news. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the eyewitness menu and follow the instructions to share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. The transport sector in Nigeria will soon be witnessing increased activities in the railways, followed by renewed collaboration between the Ministry of Transportation and General Electric, an American multinational conglomerate, and the Chinese government. The Minister of Transportation, Rotimi Amechi, who took a tour of told dry inland port in Jos, told newsmen afterwards that government has concluded negotiations with the American government and China on the revival of the rail system. Mr. Amechi explains that work will soon begin on the narrow and standard rail line gauge across the country.
For many years now, one of the biggest challenges has been how to revive the railway system in Nigeria. And now that the government is talking with the Chinese and the American companies, there seems to be hope in the end of a tunnel. But before this takes effect, the Transportation Minister begins a tour of facilities available in Jos, north central Nigeria, and other places. And knowing what the current situation is, the Minister says he's ready to go.
They say you are done the road, you are paid for land and acquisition, compensation. I think we still need to be calories. I think so. And I think we still need to first the entire place. Once we do all this, we come back here by June. Me, probably because I will be done here, my interest is employment.
Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State assures that the host government will contribute its part in the development and implementation of the project.
Prime Minister, I want to assure you, if we want to come, we may not even wait for June. Because June is rainy season. We don't want people to come here and rain will chase them away. We'll do our best with Duncan and see. If we finish earlier, we'll invite you to come before.
Apart from decongesting the seaports, the inland dry port will also bring shipping services to the doorsteps of shippers across the nation, as well as assist in the overall cost of cargo to hinterland locations.
Look at the airport there. Look at the railway. What else can you... The location of this inland port is the best that can happen. And economically, it is going to relieve all businessmen.
The Nigerian Shippers Council has been promoting and facilitating the establishment of inland container depots in the country on the basis of public-private partnership with 6 approved locations in Aba, Ibadan, Jos, Kano, Funtua and Maiduguri to service the Nigerian populace.
The Minister of Works, Power and Housing, Mr. Babatunde Fashola, has asked electricity distribution companies to improve customer experience by eliminating estimated billing by aggressively distributing smart meters. The charge is read at a monthly meeting of all industry players held in Lagos. Among other resolutions reached include the need for all government agencies indebted to the discos to pay up, while also resolving to complete and submit all outstanding audited financial accounts of all operators before the next meeting in order to improve transparency in the sector.
For everyone involved in the power business or responsible for providing electricity, it just has to be work, work, and work. Of course, the reasons are not far-fetched. A country requiring over 100,000 megawatts of electricity as a saturation point is still struggling with less than 5,000 megawatts 56 years after. Nigerians are told things will get better, and perhaps to fulfill that pledge, this meeting of industry people with the Minister of Power, the 11th in the series, is another attempt at comparing notes for incremental power.
Without the customer and the consumer, there is no business. And I think all of us in public and private sector must understand that if you don't have the skin and the patience to serve, leave. It's a thankless job, but it's a noble undertaking to serve.
The representation here cuts across the power value chain: the DISCOs, GENCOs, MBET, NELMCO, Transmission, CBN, NMPC, and others. They have all reached a consensus that customers deserve a better deal and must be meted forthwith.
This year, 2017, we have an agreement, a contract that we have given out for 200,000 meters. The total cost is over 50 billion.
At the transmission end, which some experts say is a bit of a whipping boy, the minister says capacity to wheel above 6,000 megawatts is now in place, in addition to the expansion that will be visibly felt in Lagos and environs.
There are 14 projects for transmission in Lagos. Even this location where we are, Ikeja West, which is the largest in terms of transformer capacity, is all still undergoing expansion to respond to the growing population need.
There's no better time to secure a lasting peace in the Niger Delta region than now. So far, the capacity lost to the blown-up gas pipes stands at 3,000 megawatts. If that is added to the current production, Nigeria will readily have 7,000 megawatts of electricity. What do you think? Olu Phillips, Channels Television News.
The discussion continues on infrastructure developments in Nigeria. Channels Television's data and information analyst Babajide Ogunsonwo joins me now for more on this. Thank you for joining us on the News at 10. And what a meal you have brought tonight.
Oh yes, it's a good place to kick off from in terms of infrastructure, and that's because it's over 20 centuries ago, an event occurred that most historians refer to as the most significant investment on infrastructure, and that had to do with an event where 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish was collected from a young boy, and it was multiplied to feed over 5,000. Now, here's what most historians say. They say that was the birth of stomach infrastructure. Now, here's why stomach infrastructure is the most important thing in Nigeria today, and it's because the NBS says 64% of people's expenditure goes to food. So clearly, stomach infrastructure, which in simple terms is called basic infrastructure, is what is most important to Nigerians today, and to ensure that the cost of this stomach infrastructure, which economists often use the word inflation, is often tamed. And if we look at what is going on right now, especially the information we had in the last 24 hours, year-on-year inflation is 18.5%. Now, if you don't like to use the year-on-year inflation, and you look at the 12-month moving average, that's 15.7%. So in simple terms, the cost of stomach infrastructure to Nigerians right now is rising. Now, there are 2 other infrastructures that are also very important, and now that's the physical infrastructure. And regarding physical infrastructure, transportation comes in as very, very important. And the reason why transportation is also important is because Nigerians, based on the evidence we have today, spend more money on transportation than they spend on education and health combined. Now, the third important thing as well is the infrastructure of the mind. Now, that's what Mahatma Gandhi calls the infrastructure that is most important, because the infrastructure of the mind allows us to see how people are thinking. And right now, based on the evidence again that we have, Amara, 93% of Nigerians say they are poor. And that shows clearly how Nigerians are thinking.
I have more questions on the bread and the fish, but I'll save that for later or after. Let's talk about the Ministry of Works, Power and Housing, which has over 500 billion naira in the 2017 federal government budget. It's supposed to create a significant impact on infrastructure development. So what should be the first target?
Will it create a significant impact? Yes, I think it will create a significant impact. But the thing we really need to ask ourselves is, yes, we call it the Ministry of Works, Power and Housing, but is it really the Ministry of Works, Power and Housing? So let's look at what's happened, especially when we look at where we're coming from. We had a 422 billion capital approval for that same ministry, Works, Power and Housing. However, 67% of that capital amount goes to roads. So should we really call it a Ministry of Works, Power and Housing, or should we call it a Ministry of Roads? It is very likely that in the 2017 budget we'll see a lot of impact, but most of that impact again will likely be directed towards roads and ensuring that Nigerians travel safely and have a better experience and are indeed more productive based on spending less hours on the road.
But it sounds like you're saying that the Ministry of Works, Power and Housing is ignoring other aspects. It's focusing on works, not power, and possibly housing.
Yes, but the capital side is focused right now on roads. And is it the problem of the ministry? Perhaps not. But what is happening right now is the ministry does require so much funds for those other sectors. So works, yes, is an important part of it. It requires so much money. Roads is important, requires so much money. Transportation is important, requires so much money, even though we know the Ministry of Transportation is separate. But we clearly see that the reason why roads is taking a huge chunk of the budget of the Ministry of Works, Power and Housing is because there's insufficient funds. And going back to what you've said, what is more important for us right now is to prioritize projects to ensure that we get the most important resources going to the places that we need them to go to.
And if these resources go to the places that we need them to go to, and if the infrastructure is given priority, then it means that people will have more to spend on food and transportation.
Oh, surely, you've connected it all. People will have more to spend on food and transportation, and that's really what Nigerians are concerned about, to ensure that they have more money in their pockets to spend more on food and other basic things, rather than spending a lot of money on transportation and other things that are not classified as so basic needs to their welfare.
Okay. Well, Babatunde, thank you so much. Although I do see some things missing there on that plate. No cutlery, nothing to wash down this meal that you have set before us.
All that is luxury right now to Nigerians. Most important thing is to just get your hands on the food and get well fed.
Thank you once again for joining us on the News at 10. When the News at 10 returns, Art Review tonight, photographer Segun Taylor goes down memory lane. You join us again.